will be available in the Google Doc, the Google Drive. And if you don't have access, you can contact Sydney or Daniela at helpfulvillage.com. So these reminders are always there. And next month, I believe we are still meeting on the 28th. Is that correct? That's the fourth Wednesday rather. So, and then the 19th. So this is today's agenda, and I think there's lots of exciting news. So I'm just going to turn it over to Manuel to share the news. Yes?
Yes. I was unmuting myself. I think you need to stop sharing your screen, Johan, so that we can share ours. And then that's going to be the fastest switch, the history of this Zoom. And then here. It's coming. So please tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, but it's small.
Okay, here we go. So on the agenda, we have the news, and we want to say a word about the documents you're presenting. This one, actually, I think, let's go over this one.
Yeah, and then so we'll do the new documents, the Google Drive. Then we'll talk about some of our release notes for this month, what we're currently working on for November, also village security update, and then we'll finish off with an Alexa demo and then hand it over to Pete for a little update on his database.
Okay, so the first thing is that, as you know, there was the Village to Village conference in San Diego a few weeks ago. We went there. It was a great conference. We met with a lot of villages that we know electronically, and it was a pleasure to meet in person. We definitely recommend villages that can do it to attend the next conference. Next year is in Chicago, and it's always a good thing to meet other villages, see how they're doing, and also see what's new. We took advantage of the conference to present kind of a major announcement, which is interacting with your village using an Alexa app. We did a demo there. We had a session where we were presenting the full website, the advantages of a Helpful Village, and then including a live demo of the Alexa app. So we have heard back from our villages, and obviously they were curious about how the Alexa app is working. So we have an Alexa demo planned for today's meeting. So if you stay online, well, then you can see what we presented there.
After the conference, we were super excited to announce some other villages that we were able to bring on to the team here at Helpful Village. So Mount Vernon at Home in Virginia, as well as Cleveland Woodley Park Village in DC area, and then Mount Mansfield in Vermont. So welcome.
And we were talking about the West Coast, but we're excited also to announce that we are coming to Washington, D.C. very soon. So if you're in the East Coast and not too far from the capital city, you are more than welcome to join us. We're doing a presentation essentially to the Washington, D.C. villages, WAVE, but any other village that can make it to the capital, well, they are more than welcome to let us know and join us for the meeting. We will be in Washington, D.C. the first week of December. So that's for the planning.
So I wanted to start talking about the Google Drive. This is where we keep all the training docs as well as the information from our user group presentations. So recently Daniela worked really hard and she did some reorganization of this document, of this file, and so she was able to go in and kind of change the format. We were able to add a couple other new documentations as well. And then we created a table of contents to help maneuver and navigate and look for the documents you're trying to find. So here's a screenshot of what it looks like. It should be a little bit easier for people to navigate now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to jump right into our release notes for this month. So one of the biggest things is we got a new, bigger server from all the growth that's happening. So that's exciting. We've been working on transferring platforms there, and so it's been great. We're also able to create a service request draft. As we talked about, these are similar to cloning for people that don't always have a date and time picked out, but would like to create a draft and have those saved. Some of the new settings and additional fields we've added to a member application form was the date of birth, gender, sexual orientation, and ethnicity. These are all things that you can request to add from a setting to the application form, so just let us know if you'd like any of these. Also, the manager rights are now updated and have better documentation, and that documentation will be in the Google Drive to show exactly what rights have what capabilities. Number 337, we were able to fix the pie charts for Falmouth. And then 335, we were able to improve the donation report for Capital City. Next is 319. We added some more columns, additional columns to the prospect report. And then 277, for Carquinez, we were able to add the total number of active members, so it appears at the top of the active members page, so you're not having to manually count any of that anymore. 307 is an exciting one. We're able to search organization in the search bar. So using the org, name of the provider or organization, as well as and then the name of the provider. And then another exciting one is that we updated a report for the volunteer services completed by category. So this is also shows now the hours per category, and then also as well as the total hours at the bottom. Number 300, we kind of had some problems where we were getting donations with no amount in them. So we were able to fix that, and that someone cannot submit a donation with no amount. 347 is a new column and mailing list. We had a lot of people asking why their mailing lists weren't matching up with MailChimp always. So we were able to create a checklist for if they have a valid email, and as well as if they have the newsletter box checked, and that way you can do a quick scroll through and target who has the issue and why they're not receiving certain newsletters. And then 341 is Menno was able to do prospect sorting options, which we're gonna show.
Yes, so, oops. So here we're jumping to a live demo. I know at this meeting we have, several of our villages that are used to our kind of numbers and improvement and release process. For those that are first timers in this meeting, just letting you know that these 300, 347, etc. are requests by our customers that ask us for some improvements or bug fixes. They go through a process that Joanne is going to explain later today. But basically, the village can post requests that then receives a number for us to basically to process and get it on our to-do list and get them done. So these numbers are connected with a flow we have in the users group meeting. Now, what we do every month is that we announce the improvements we're bringing this month, and we show usually a demo of some of them. So I want to talk about these last two items that I'll show on the website. Let me start with the last one, which is a remove reply to address to avoid phishing. So this is something we used to do. Is our server was sending emails out to your members and volunteers, and we were using this line that is called reply to, which means that Helpful Village is sending the email, but we were asking your members to reply to your village if they had questions or remarks. Now, this is totally fine in terms of using email capability, but it's a technique that was used by some spammers or hackers that wanted to do some phishing. So now Gmail is displaying a message saying, well, be careful with this message because it was sent by one person, but they want you to reply to a different person. So we need to get rid of that part. In this new version, we're removing the reply to address. So if people reply to those emails, those will come to Helpful Village, and then we will re-forward them from our main account to you. If you have questions about this specific request, you can ask us on our Slack channel, and we'll explain you a little bit more. There is no security threat there because basically it's just the worst thing that can happen is that you're replying to the village. But it's just we need to change this so that our email score goes up and that we don't have kind of emergency alert or security alerts by Gmail. Now let me go down now to number 341. This is improvement that we have done to the prospects module. So now is the moment where I'll switch to the online demo, and I'll go here. Wait. Oh, here we go. So this is the website. I want to show you a few things I need to show the prospect module. So let me move this thing down with faces. So the prospects module is found here, right? You have go people management, prospects to-do list. The prospects module is used to basically, is a tool for the village to recruit new members, to recruit volunteers, to recruit donors, okay? So this is a module that we already have. I'm gonna show you some of the improvements. So when you are a prospects manager, you're trying to recruit some people, you would go into this screen and basically you can choose what are you prospecting for. For example, if you're trying to recruit some volunteers, you can come in here in this list and just filter the list and say, I want to see the prospective volunteers. And this will only show the prospective volunteers here. You can do the same thing if you're prospecting for donors. You just choose donor category and it will show donors, right? Or if you want to show everything, all the prospecting tasks, well, just choose all and it's gonna show everything. Then each one of these prospecting tasks has something you need to do or someone needs to do at the village. In some cases, we want to send a renewal email to this member. Here, for this case, we need to make a phone call. In this other case, we're sending prospective donor email, etc. So for example, if I'm here and I want to take care of this Jacqueline Campos renewal email, I would go in these prospecting tasks and then I can review it. I see that she came in contact with the village through an event registration. I can add some notes here. For example, this is a friend of Sydney Hess. So this is a note that can be helpful for the recruiter or the person that is, recruiting more people. It's just something, a note that you can read that's not being seen by other people. So let me save that. Now that it's saved, we have the note. And then here is the specific task we need to do. So basically at this point, I would go to my email account. I would send a renewal email or from Helpful Village to the renewal email. And then when it's done, I come here, I say that I have completed this task. And then just save it. And then I have the possibility to add another prospecting task if I want for this person. Or maybe, so basically this is what we're gonna do. I send this renew email, and then the new task is send second reminder for renewing. And then I'm creating a new task that I need to complete before this date, November 24th, and I just save this. Okay, so now these prospect tasks are visible on the person profile. So this is Jacqueline's profile. Here I have her, name, email, etc. I can see if she's a member or her address, etc. But basically on the prospect tab, I can see all the same information here. I can see all the upcoming tasks for this person, and I can also see all the tasks that have been completed, right? So by the way, I did a mistake here. She was a renewing member. So basically here, my category is here, renew member. Save. Now, these prospect tasks, you can have several prospect tasks for the same person. For example, this is a member that is renewing, but if we're opening up kind of a fundraising campaign, and I think this person is a good candidate, I can also come here, create a new task, and say that this person send donor invite, I don't know how we say. And then this person is now a prospect for a donor, and we need to send the donor invite before November 24th. So she is a member already. And then I can save this. So now when we look again to her profile, you will see that she has two upcoming tasks. One is as a renewing member, the other one is as a donor, okay? So that are the prospecting tasks to this person, but if you want to see on the list of all prospects, we go back to admin, people management, prospects to the list. And here, we see that the new tasks that we created for Jacqueline Campbell as a renew member, as a donor, are visible here, okay? Now you can do different things to work with this list. One of them is that you can filter this list by categories, as we saw before. You can also filter by name. So basically here we want to do Jacqueline only. It will show the prospecting tasks for Jacqueline. Now, if I want to remove that and see all lists, Another thing that we recommend doing is that you can sort the same list by rating. Now, the rating is basically the chances of success of this prospecting search. When you sort by that, the A pluses are the people that really love the village concept, or you love your concept, or that you have high chances of convincing this person. And then down the list here, the C pluses would be, or C, would be people that know about the village or maybe don't know about the village, so you have lesser chances of convincing them for a donation, for example. So this allows you to basically sort this list in a way where basically you're talking to the people that have higher potential first. Now, this same list, you can filter it, as we said, for donor, volunteer, etc., and you can also sort it. So basically here, if you want to change the way in which is sorted by due date, you will have here, in an ascending way or in a descending way. So these are different ways for you to work on these prospects to-do list. Now, these are the open to-do list. Down here, you can also go down to the completed tasks and basically see what are all the tasks for prospecting that have already been completed. Okay, so that was kind of the demo for the improvements we have done in filtering and sorting of the prospecting module. I also wanted to show you another feature because I think it's going to save you a lot of time. Is the searching capability. So you know that one of my favorite fields on Helpful Village is the search person field, because you can be anywhere you want on the website. If you have a phone call from a member or a volunteer, you can always say, well, I had, let's say, Sydney on the phone. So I can go up here, type Sydney, and this is going to take me immediately to her profile, right? So that's her profile. I can see if she's a member, if she's a volunteer. I can see what are the emails that have been sent to her, the events she has participated in. So very easy and rapidly we can go to the person. For example, here, if I search for Acevedo, I'll go to my profile again very quickly, right? Or let's say if we search all people that have an A, well then these are all the people in the database that contain an A. So this is a very fast way to find a person in your database. Now, we were discussing with Village, particularly Capital City in Austin, and they had this recommendation because before you could go to your preferred providers through this list and then browse through the categories of, if it's a gardening provider, irrigation, landscaping, and then in landscaping, maybe you will find your provider, right? But in some cases, instead of browsing the categories, you can simply just search and do the same quick thing. For example, here, we could search a provider that we know is in the database. And then here, say, for example, we have a provider in our test environment that is called recreation. And if you do pro : it's going to search in the provider's database. You see, it's a provider in the healthcare and advocacy physical therapy, and we went immediately to this provider, right? Similar thing for organizations in your database. So if you want to search an organization, in this case, let's say we're searching for AARP. Well, we find an AARP that's an organization, and maybe let's say that AARP made a donation. You can add a donation for this organization, okay? Now, if you go back here and you type AARP, it's not gonna work because it's actually searching for people first, and there's nobody that is called AARP in the database. Now, it's made on purpose. We think that it's very important that, we put people first. So the first thing you search is people. And then if you're searching for something else, you need to remember to search in this fashion. So basically say org, column, and then AARP. And then that's gonna take you to the AARP profile. Okay, so that was for my live demo of today. I mean, we have another demo coming up for Alexa, but those are for the improvements on the database on the website this month. Let me go back to the presentation. And also another thing is, I know that there are some questions in the chat. It's sometimes difficult for me to, do the presentation and I don't have the questions for the chat. If there is an important question that cannot wait, please someone can unmute and read the question, and I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I need to continue because I cannot read the chat at the same time that I'm talking. But please don't hesitate to interrupt me if you unmute yourself. Okay, now we're coming back here to the presentation. We have current priorities. So we just showed the new improvements we made over this month. It was a busy month. And then those improvements are not on the server yet. As we usually do, they are released to all villages on the server next weekend. So on Sunday, Saturday or Sunday this week, you will have these new features accessible to all Helpful Village websites. Now, the next point on the agenda is the current priorities. So what are we working on next for our next release that is planned on December 2nd? So this is what we'll be working on. We need to work on 342. So basically we have a possibility for admins to add a donation by an organization, as we just saw for ARP. You can go in, search the organization, and then add a donation. Now we need to make it public so that you can, a donation can click on the link, make a donation now, and then they can enter the corporation name and then just, accept the donation, because we want to make it very easy for you to accept donations, not only from individuals, but also from organizations. We're also adding monthly recurring donations. We have some villages where their donors want to donate monthly, and we want to help them get that money. So we're adding that to our next release. We have done some improvement to the prospects module. There is something more we want to do next month, but we'll talk more about it next month. It's some additional configuration we're working on. And then another 303 is another request we got from 2 villages. I know there's Molly on the call from Next San Francisco, and that we have that also from Clayton Valley, from Diane. Basically the possibility not only to upload documents to the documents library, but also attach some documents to the person. So basically, if this person has, a scan of, his application form or his contract, something that is very specific to one person, you will be able to upload that to his personal profile. I want to say one word about MailChimp tags, because we discussed that in our previous session. So tags is a new feature on MailChimp that allows you to, basically add kind of a label to a person and include that in a list. We already do synchronization with MailChimp in groups and, by interest categories and interests. And tags is an additional way to do it. Now, we checked on the API, and what appeared to us is that even though the tags are accessible on their web platform, their API has not been updated yet. Really, there are some things where they invited us to create it as a segment, and then they will translate the segments into tags. So it's something we had to put on hold a little bit until MailChimp updates their API. Now, for those that don't know what an API is, it's basically kind of the recipes that a server announces to other servers. Is how the Helpful Village server is talking to MailChimp. They need to give us the recipe to use the tags, and the recipe is not ready. So I hope this image about cooking works well for tech, but it's all I can say for now. But we're still very interested on tags. We'll keep an eye on how MailChimp is updating their API. Oops.
Manuel?
Yes?
This is Joanne. I just wondered on the monthly recurring donations,
yes,
is this plan to be something that will be global, or will the donor have the opportunity to choose whether to make it monthly?
Yeah, so basically we were thinking on the same donation form, just add something like a checkbox that's saying, do you wish to make this a monthly donation? So if you want to donate, let's say $100, and they check that box, well then $100 will be withdrawn every month without, human interaction.
So this will be a setting, and we'll need to check with you to switch it on?
Yeah, we can do what we imagine is having that checkbox up for everybody. If there are some villages that don't want to have that checkbox available for some reason, we can add it as a setting so that we hide it. But I don't know why you would hide it, because if the person is not clicking it, the monthly payment, well then it will do a one-time payment, which is what we have been doing until now.
And is that also true for membership, renewal dues?
Well, that for membership, we have that already. Okay. So you can activate on your membership and offer the possibility to your members to pay in a one-time payment or a monthly payment. And with this monthly payment, what is already happening is that if we miss a credit card payment for some reason, because the bank blocked it, or because the card was expired or something, we talk with our payment provider, Stripe. And then if the payment didn't come in, we send an email to the village saying, well, for some reason there was a problem with this membership monthly payment, you should contact the member and, find out if the member needs to call the bank or something. So that's already working very well for membership. And then we want to do the same thing for donations.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you for the question. If there are any other questions from the group, we totally take questions. So thank you, Joanne. Okay, now we have only this quick slide. You know that security is very important to us, that we're sharing security tips. So this is a brief interruption where basically we're sharing just a recommendation, which is just common. We're not inventing this, and they're not specific to Helpful Village, but we think that we need to raise kind of the knowledge of security on the internet in general. So our security tip today is just how to choose a good password. So the first thing is you need to choose a password that no one will easily guess. So try to avoid your birthday or name or seat of the website. If you call it Helpful Village, I don't think it's a good idea. Or Marine Villages or or your village. You should choose a village password that is original. Second thing is be careful not to share the password, not only with other people, but also from website to website. If you can use a different password for each website, that's probably better. Then making your password long enough also makes it a little bit more difficult to guess for a hacker. And then another recommendation is that you use uppercase characters, lowercase characters, a symbol, and a number. Obviously, the harder you can make the password, the least chances of having it hacked, the harder chances of remembering it also. So, just try whatever works for you and try to do the right thing as much as you can. Other thing that is sometimes recommended is that you get your password written down and in a safe place that no one else can look at. I don't know if everyone does it. I personally don't. If you lose your Helpful Village password, you can always go to the website and just reset it. There is a forgot password link, and that will send it to your email account where you can basically choose a new password. So that's all for the security group tips of the month.
Yes. There was a question or an exchange going on in the chat about password managers.
Uh-huh.
And
yes.
I think it's a good idea to, I don't know if you want to go into that, but many people use and recommend password managers, and maybe that's a side chat that we could have, or maybe bring up another time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that people suggested that on the chat. It's a good idea to have one kind of password that is harder to guess, that kind of holds other passwords. Some services are, paid services, some others are free. Definitely these people job is to make it sure that, they keep your password safe. So it can be a good option. What we're doing maybe is that we'll maybe put something together, kind of a recommendation. We will add some comments about the password managers also to our security tip, and then share that with the audience. So that's great. First thing, thank you for that suggestion. And second, Joanne, is thank you for also letting us know about the chat, because I cannot talk and read the chat at the same time. So every time you see something that makes sense, this is great.
Sure.
If you know. Okay, so that's for the security thing. And now we go from security to the fun. So it's time to go to the demo time about the Alexa app. What you can see on your screen right now is the flyer we printed for the conference in San Diego. So basically you see in there kind of the 4 main reasons why we think you should choose Helpful Village: because we have a high quality service, because it's easy to use, to save money, and because it's secure. And also the announcement we made at the conference, where basically now you can interact with your village saying, Alexa, ask my village what's up today, and other requests. So this is something we're very excited about, the Alexa part, because it's part of Helpful Village's strategy from day one to make the village accessible to members and volunteers that are not tech experts. Maybe we do it through our website, making it super easy to use. Same thing on the mobile app, where basically it's easy to volunteer. using your iPhone. And then this is also the next step for people that cannot use a computer or a phone, or that have visual impairments or have problem with their fingers, are many of these cases. Well, but then for many of those people, they can still talk to a smart speaker and then basically interact with the village, asking for the same things you're used to interact with on other platforms. So we're very excited about this. It's something entirely new and there's some learning curve, but we want to show you a demo and see how it goes. Before we, let me see what's after this one. No, it's here. So first thing I want to do is that we have a demo. Before we do a demo, I wanted to show you a video that we prepared. And this video is showing basically how the Alexa app would be used. So is everyone ready for the demo? I want to see show of hands. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. It's only a 1-minute video. It's gonna be really quick. How do we do view, full screen, and then go.
Hey Alexa, ask my village what's up today.
There are 2 events on your calendar today. At 11 a.m., a volunteer called Sydney Hess will pick you up for a medical appointment. At 4 p.m., there is a yoga class at the village.
Perfect. And then we can go out.
Okay, that's it. 1 minute. Okay, so that was for the video. So the purpose of the video is to show that people can interact with the village in different ways. Some people will prefer their phones because you can have access to, I don't know, instant information. Some people will do it on the computer. But for those that prefer doing it through voice, they have an additional channel they can use. And obviously, this is all connected to your village. So obviously, there's other Alexa apps out there which do different things. Obviously, the advantage of ours is that you're interacting with your village. So with any further ado, I have another suggestion, is that we could do a live demo right now, which is a little riskier than the video because the video can work, and then this is a live demo. So look who's here. Now, I'm gonna turn on Alexa, and then I have a few things I will be telling Alexa, and then the little luck, she can understand my Spanish accent, and then she will do something. Alexa, ask my village.
Hi, Manuel, you can try. Alexa, ask my village what's up today.
Alexa, ask my village what's up today.
There are 2 events on your personal calendar. At 11 a.m., a volunteer called Sydney Hess will pick you up for a medical appointment. At 4 p.m., there is a yoga class at the village.
Alexa, ask my village for village events today.
There are 2 events on the village calendar. At 5:30 p.m., meet Mayor Bloombergton. At 8:30 p.m., annual village party.
Okay, Alexa, ask my village to call me back.
Got it. Your village has been notified and should get back to you soon.
Okay, and then I have a last one, which is Alexa, ask my village for a volunteer.
On what date?
Tomorrow?
What type of volunteer skill is needed?
Drive?
At what time?
11:30 a.m.
Great. The village will review it and let volunteers know.
Okay, thank you, Alexa. Okay, so I'm always happy when the live demo goes right. and Alexa was friendly with me. So that's great. As you can see, is what we implemented is the same main features that the Village is offering through the phone and the computer. I hope you could hear what we were saying, but basically is you can ask for your personal events if you have volunteers that are going to come and help you, or if you have registered for events. What are the public events that the Village is doing at any given date? I asked for today, but Alexa is smart enough to do it for different dates. You can ask and say, what are the events, the Village events tomorrow, or what are the Village events on October 30th, etc. So it's part of this intelligence that comes with Alexa, with the Amazon Alexa logic. The other important feature is obviously asking for assistance from a volunteer. And as you saw, we asked for some of the information. It's connected to some of the new features we added to the website. So for example, what it would do is that it would create a draft request. So you could create a draft request on Alexa, and then basically maybe the Village needs to call back if there is additional information that is needed about destination address or some specific details, etc. But it's important to understand that this process is connected with the standard website and phone. So that's it for Alexa. Now
Question?
we are. Oh, sorry. Was that you, John?
This is Joanne. I have another question. I noticed when you showed us the video that Sydney, the volunteer, clicked something that said, "I am coming," but
Yeah.
I didn't hear Alexa tell the member that the volunteer's on the way. Is that the plan?
Yeah, so it's a good question. First, the "I'm coming" is something that we adapted because we're talking with a partner or something. Now, the Alexa app, what is interesting is that we have now the technical capability. You know what I mean? Is that she is logging into the system. The information she's accessing is on your profile. So you need to enter your user and password on Alexa once. And then we have this dialogue and interaction that we can record with Alexa. Now, our feeling is that we now have kind of a good technical understanding of the Alexa app, but we are not planning to kind of deploy it to all villages kind of tomorrow or next week, because our feeling is that we don't have enough feedback or testing about the human part of it. It's like what happens when you talk to Alexa, in natural language. What I do is that, she speaks my language with my strange syntax, right? And then we want to make sure that we test it with, one specific village more in detail, so that we have more sentences that Alexa can understand, make Alexa conversation smarter. So something we wanted to bring to this meeting is saying, we have the technology that is ready, but we think the best way to go would be to contact one of your local partners. And we were thinking about AARP, for example. I don't know if there are villages that have a good relationship with their local AARP or any other grant maker. Because what we wanted to do is say, well, we have this hot concept about using voice to interact with the village. We would like to test it in one specific village first, and then broaden the kind of the language, so that Alexa can understand sentences in different ways, because people talk in different ways, and then refine it through that process with that one village and a grant that helps us kind of work that out. And then once we have a finalized version that is kind of approved for one village, that we can make it public for all villages. So, kind of for now, it's a very good piece of technology, but we want to, go through a process of testing with more kind of human interaction. See, is this clear what I said?
Yes. And the connection to AARP, are you saying you need funding to help this testing go forward?
Yeah, so we have heard from villages already that actually they had access to funding for some innovation related to voice. So I know AARP is already doing that, because it came the other way. It's kind of villages saying, oh, we have access to some grants from our local AARP that wanted to investigate voice. And then we said, well, we are working on something, we will be ready. And now we're ready. So basically for us, the thing is, our understanding is that AARP or other partners would be happy to fund it. And then basically, they get the results or I don't know, you know what I mean? They are part of the success story. So if you have, and then we need to spend time, right? There is time at the village testing. There is time on our end to add more intelligence to the app. So the point is that if we have this easy access to funding through innovation, ARP or partner, that, you know, we basically try to make something happen there. So yeah, as I said before, if you have some possibility around that, just send us an email, and then we'll try to see, you know, what's the best next step for testing that Alexa app on the ground. Okay, so that's one thing. So that finished up for the conference. I read a few of the comments on the chat, and I had the feeling that people were quite excited with the new voice approach, and we're very happy about that because we have very strong feelings that it's a huge improvement for people that could not interact with the village in a different way. Okay, then now for me, it's this is another point in the agenda. We can move on with the agenda for the next part. I don't know if Pete is on the call.
Yep.
I haven't seen him. Maybe he's
Calling
muted.
Pete.
Did you, John, did you see him on the list?
He was, yes. I saw him.
I see him on the list.
I'll send him a note.
Yeah. Maybe, you know, while Pete is activating, if anyone has a question, you just can unmute. It's kind of hard to read the chat at the same time. So if anyone wants to say something.
Yes, I'm still unclear on Alexa. On the availability of it. Like if we want to participate in a beta test, are there some costs associated with that you would want us to assist with, even if we can't get an AARP grant, which who knows how long that could take?
Well, obviously we have the technology now, right? And we definitely want to take it out. So we want to take it out in the best way possible. We think that, you know, it makes sense for some partner like ARP to fund it because, you know, they already asked us in a way. So if we can do this testing with funding, it's better, right? Because better for some of this funding would go for your village, some of it for us to adapt the Alexa app or something. So I think that makes sense. Obviously, if we don't find any village that has some contact with grants or something to run the test, we'll still do the test, you know, without grants. You know, obviously we definitely are pushing this technology forward, but obviously with a little bit of help of a partner just makes things easier for the village and for us. So let's try that first, and then if we have nothing, well then we'll find another way. But we are pushing it forward anyways.
Okay, Pete's ready, I think.
Great.
So Sydney, if you'll stop sharing your screen, Sydney, and let's let Pete share.
Absolutely. And we're going on mute.
Am I on? Am I on?
You are on. We can hear you, and we need to see your screen now. Are you ready to share?
Yes.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay. On the last release of Helpful Village, Manuel added a few new columns to the all people, members, and volunteers called alternate address. So I added that to the reports in my Helpful Village reporting database. Also, a major modification is you no longer need to take the date off of your files to import in the database, which would be a big help. Also, if you're using the CSV option, you just import the CSV file straight out of the database. The database now, all the volunteer reports now support Hub and Spoke, so you can do all your reporting by village now. Also, the entity involvement report is also available by entity. And if you're using the CSV file option and you find you still have to reformat zip codes and phone numbers, that's because Access, when it first imports the files, it detects that the zip code and phone number are numeric if you just use a 5-digit zip code. I think what you can do is you can go into, if you open up your CSV file, look at the first person in each of the files and go to their Helpful Village site and change your zip code to be the 5 digits plus the 4. That'll force that field to text. Same with phone numbers. If you wrap it around the phone number, then that'll come through as text as well. So that should save you having to open a file, open the CSV file, reformat the files as text, and save them as an XLS file. So that's pretty much,
Pete, I'm not clear
that-
where you do that, what you just said about changing the format of the zip code. Where do you do that?
you would go into into Helpful Village, you go into that person,
Oh,
where you enter their code, just put in, 12345-1234, and that'll force it to numeric when the file is exported. Just make sure you do it on one of the first persons in the list so it gets picked up as text when it's exported.
okay.
Then Manuel has introduced some pretty exciting stuff. Also, on the HP reporting database, we currently have the ability to import history from all of last year's transactions, as well as the current transactions. Well, at the end of the year, you want to merge the history and the current. So it's a new feature in the database that allows you to do that. And so that is here. You select on export history files.
I'm not seeing your screen yet, Pete. I'm just seeing a telephone.
How do I share it then? Somebody need to share it with me?
No, down at the bottom, there's an icon, a green
I share
icon.
it. I'm clicking on share.
Okay.
You see it yet?
No, just phone.
How about that? Can
Is
you see it
anyone
now?
else having better luck?
No, we're not seeing it, Pete. I see you've logged in, your audio is by phone, but I also see your computer has audio sharing too going on, so not sure what's going on.
Huh.
It
Seeing
says,
it
yeah,
now?
there you are.
There you go. You're good
What are you
now.
seeing?
We see your
Is it
screen now.
Export history files?
Yes.
Okay, so if you click on export date ranges, you'll see your from and through date of your history files. Here I've got 2017, 2016 files, and then the through date. So I always make sure that those files are pretty much my startup date and the current date. Then I can export those. When you export, you go into the history file with this date. So once you're sure all your data is good, you can go back into your history folder, remove all your old history, and put the new ones in effect. So one other thing, Emmanuel just had a great, also in my document, there's a whole section now on saving and importing history, CSV files versus XLS files, and how to do the year-end processing. So that's all in my document. When I do a new release, I'll send that out. And also, I'll take a look on Sunday. I'll see all the new fields that Manuel has added, and I'll go ahead and add those in. I think I lost my database here. Also, Manuel has made some really great changes to the prospect database for this fall. But before I saw those cool changes, I developed a module for our village. Are you seeing the screen? Is it here or here?
We see it.
See the prospect screen now?
You're out back on the getting started now.
I've got two screens, so that's what the problem is. Okay, so here's the prospect database. So this imports the prospect task CSV file straight out of Helpful Village. And it's got the similar capability where you can sort by prospect type. You can also select same type of thing. You can sort on rating. I've got this coming in by first name. I can also sort it by last name if I want. Select the person. I can sort by task description and filter by task description. And then if I want to take a look at the current prospects, I can always sort descending on the due date. Shows me any new prospects. So I've got a list here of all my prospects. You see the red asterisk here. This means this person is in the prospect database 2 times, which Manuel showed you can do that. But in my case, I don't want to see him twice. So I can click on Jessica Rabbit here. And this brings up all of her information from the prospect task file. And you can't change anything because to do so, you'd lose it the next time the prospect file is loaded. So you can't make any changes. What you can do is you can add notes. So I just want to say callbacks, callback afternoon. After I learn how to spell. Anyway, and I can go to my reporting module. Show my callbacks. There's a list of all the people I want to call back. Got to fix that date. Also, if I know that Jessica Rabbit is an out-of-towner and just won't really be coming, or comes to a lot of our events, but she's not a member, what I can do, I can change her information by converting it to manual. So it now thinks that she is a manual entry. And now I can change all the fields that I want. As soon as I change the data source and help with those manual entry, I can now say she is out of area, save it, close it. Now if I open up the database again, she won't show up. Oh, she shows up as, yeah, she shows up there, but now if I know, now I can also archive her. Now here's where I'll never see her again. I close her out, goes up the database, bring in again, she's archived. And all that happens in this file called prospect data. So you can archive all the stuff for your all your manual prospects. So I've got just the data here as archived. And if you're keeping any kind of prospects on a spreadsheet and you don't want to put them into a Helpful Village, you can always just add them to this spreadsheet here, and they'll get imported automatically when your database opens. Here's also all of her notes. So all your notes go in this database here. You can also enter notes through here. Cool. The way I added those new type, I have a folder called Prospect Info, and you can see here, I put my village name, Clayton Valley, a new type called out of area, and I want to ignore type out of area. So this gives me the ability to set up any kind of type I want and ignore them if I want. So it gives me a lot of flexibility over the configuration. If I want to just add a new prospect manual, I can go in here, add a new prospect, put all the information in there. So prospect type, donor, rating, whatever. Then I can add notes down here, whatever I want. So it gives me a lot of flexibility as far as being able to keep a history of notes. And if I see people that constantly attend my events and I know they're not a prospect, I could just delete them from this database here. I can also take a look from unqualified. I want to do just my unqualified, print selection. Here's a list of all my unqualified prospects. And when they get added to the database in Helpful Village manual, they all come across as unqualified. So now I can produce this list and hand it off to a volunteer, and they can make phone calls, follow up with these people. If there's any notes involved, those notes will show up as well. So all this stuff is all documented. This document here on how to set up the database and how everything works. So this database is currently in development, and I'm always kind of playing around with adding new things, but if anyone's interested in giving it a try, then let me know. I'll be glad to send it off to you. And as usual with both databases, there is no charge. Since I'm doing it for free for Clayton Valley, I'll just give it to you. So just let me know. Let's see. I think that's all there is. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. And I just want to say there's some people who are new who may not know about your databases, plural now. And so we just remind them that they can request that from you directly at your email address, apbard@aol.com.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
How do I get it back to you?
Joanne, do you want to go? It's about time. You have 2 minutes left, but do you want to finish up with the process? What do you think?
Well, let me just get my slides up here. I was just going to remind people that about the process that we invented here for requesting improvements. And on the tail end of the slides, I just recreated some of the earlier information. I did not recreate the gigantic flow chart. The main points to remember are if you have a request for an improvement or you want to report a bug, or have a question that you can't get answered through Slack, then you can use this form that is listed here, askhelpfulvillage.com. And if you want access to actually see all the improvements that are being worked on or have been worked on, oh my gosh, it's a long list, but Sydney can give you access. And then we also want to encourage you to use Slack instead of putting everything into that huge database. If there's an idea that you want to kick around or a bug that is really annoying, I think Slack may be a quicker way. I'm not sure. Manuel or Sydney want to speak to
yeah. Yes. So we have this form that will be included in the presentation where basically villages can put new requests. You can simply go to ask.helpfulvillage.com and you will see it where you kind of have an idea and suggest it to the group. But then we also have this space, which is actually helpfulvillage.slack.com, where basically it's more a conversational mode, where if you have a question or if you're wondering how a different village is doing something, you can go on and just start the conversation there. We'll always keep an eye on that. I know, for example, that one village had a question about the reviewing steps for a new volunteer. And this is a vetting process. We're very interested in having trusted volunteers that are vetted. So they kind of posted a question on the Slack, and then other villages could answer. But we saw it and we thought, wow, this is a great idea. Definitely, we are very interested in having that as a request, and then prioritizing it because it would be a great improvement. Because we're doing already vetting steps for providers, so we think having the conversation started in Slack makes sense, and then you get our feedback about what we think and then how we think we can do that quickly or not, etc. So I think this conversational step is important, and then when we see that it's a good idea, a good addition, we usually invite the village to put the official kind of formal service request through the form. So yeah, definitely if you don't have access to the Slack space, you can simply email Sydney at helpfulvillage.com, and then we can invite you to that space.
Okay, great. I thought I was sharing, but I guess I wasn't.
I think it's Pete's screen.
Pete's screen.
Yeah.
So the slides show that overview of the process, and then I just quickly went to the Ask Helpful Village form into Slack. And so if you haven't tried using Slack, it's really great. It's got all these channels where you can put in questions and have discussions and so on. So we just want to remind you, and if you don't know about it, then definitely check with Sydney, or you can contact me, but I don't have all the access that Sydney has. Mm-hmm. These are the things that you can learn from Sydney. And Daniela also, if you want access to the, especially for the Google Drive, Daniela is working on that. Mm-hmm. Okay, 12:02, we need to stop.
Yes. We like to finish on time, so it's I think 2 minutes is still okay, but we definitely need to go. Thank you, Joanne, for hosting the meeting, and thank you for all villages for your interest and attention. Thank you, Travis, for setting up the meeting and getting us all together. And then see you all soon. And maybe if you're in the East Coast and can go to DC, we'll be the first week of December in DC. Don't hesitate to come see us. Bye-bye. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.